Imagine this, you're scrolling through your phone and suddenly an ad pops up saying, buy this new phone now. Meanwhile, a company CEO somewhere is getting an email offering industrial machines for their factory. Both are advertising, but are they the same? Good day everyone, my name is Julian, and today I'll be sharing something interesting, the difference between B2B and consumer communications and how communication really works through Scrum's communication model. So here are our chapter objectives. So after discussing this chapter, you should be able to first describe communications theory, describe the main problems in planning a campaign, explain how attitude change models can be used in planning a campaign, describe the factors that impact the marketing communications mix, explain the use of models in business-to-business communications, and lastly, understand the role of the company website. So, B2B versus consumer communications. So, business to business and consumer advertising have a great deal in common. Advertising aims to reach people with its message and change its target market in some way, changing attitudes or behavior, increasing the level of knowledge, or whatever the advertiser hopes to achieve. Ultimately, advertisers hope to change behavior because they hope to influence the audience to buy the products on offer. Other marketing communications are intended to have a similar effect. So B2B means business to business, while consumer communications or business to consumer is when a company talks directly to the general public. So both have one goal, it is to influence people's behavior, either to make them buy, trust, or believe in something. But they have different approach. So first is a consumer advertising, they're usually aiming at our emotions, things that make us happy, inspired, and even hungry. While on the other hand, ang B2B advertising is more logical and factual. They focus more on details, benefits, and numbers. So ang example lang is Jollibee. For example, if Jollibee shows a heartwarming ad about family, that's already consumer communication because it's aiming on our emotions. But on the other hand, if ang Jollibee buys industrial ovens from another company and that company sends them a brochure, that's already B2B communication. Now, let's proceed to the differences between B2B versus consumer communications. So, consumer markets, availability of mass media. So, in consumer markets, advertising is everywhere on TV, radio, posters, and social media. So, companies can easily reach many people through these platforms. While sa business to business markets, mass media is of little use. They prefer direct communication like emails, business meetings, or trade events. And then, for the second difference, greater use of emotional appeals. So, in consumer markets, advertisements often use emotions, happiness, love, or excitement to grab attention. But in B2B, advertisers use a rational approach. They focus more on logic, data, and product performance. The third difference is how the audience reacts to the message. So, greater tendency on the part of consumers to avoid the message. So, consumers usually avoid ads because they see too many every day. So, man siya sa consumer markets. While on the other hand, ang business-to-business markets, B2B buyers actively search for information before buying. So, mismo ang negosyo, mangita og info, na mo palit kay gusto nila nga they ensure nga ang ilang desisyon kay sakto. Fourth difference nila is selective retention means that communications are quickly forgotten. So in consumer markets, people easily forget advertisements unless it really captures their interest. So they would easily forget if ang usa ka ado is not that attractive sila or like wala nakaka-capture silang interest. And then sa business to business markets, communications are frequently stored for future reference. Brochures, advertisements, and leaflets may be filed away. So, ang communications are often kept for future use and ginatago nila ang mga brochure o leaflet para magamit sa umaabot ng mga decisions. And then fifth difference is copy is almost always short and punchy, usually just 10 or a dozen words. So in consumer ads, they are usually short and catchy, often just a few words like just do it. Kasagaran, mubo lang siya and catchy, aron, dali na siya mahinumduman. While on the other hand, ang B2B, the copy is long, detailed, sometimes even 1,000 words. So, it must be long and it must be detailed ang mensahe sa B2B para klaro and kumpleto ang info nga mahatag sa other nga mga business. And for the sixth difference is communication is aimed at individuals who are in most cases solely responsible for purchasing decisions. So ang target audience sa consumer markets are mga people nga who decided for themselves or their families. So while on the other hand, ang B2B or business-to-business markets is aimed at groups or committees that decide together. So, ang consumer markets, usa lang siya ka-individual, but in B2B communication, these are a group of people. And then for the seventh difference, or the last difference nila, is characterized by mass media reaching broad market segments. So, consumer markets, they use mass media to reach a broad audience. They use mass media aron maabot ang daghang klase sa consumers o sa decision. Well, on the other hand, ang B2B, however, uses mga industry-specific media like trade journals, business websites, and LinkedIn. Ginagamit nila mga media nga pang negosyo aron maabot ang mga decision maker o experts sa ilang industry. Now, let's proceed to Scrum's communication model 1948 to 1971. So this model explains how communication works from the sender to the receiver and how important it is to make sure the message is understood. So there are key components here in Scrum's communication model. First is we have the sender or the encoder. He or she creates and encodes the message using words, symbols, or gestures. So siya ang create o nag-encode sa message, mag-use siya words, symbols, or gestures. Ang example ani is the advertiser or the company itself. Next is message. It is the information, idea, or feeling the sender wants to communicate. So, basically, mo na siya idea or information nga gustong ipaabot from the sender to the receiver. So, for example, lani kay, like, na mga ads na may na buy our product, it's the best. Third is we have channel or medium, the path through which the message travels. Example lani is the internet, TV, print, or face-to-face. And then number four, the fourth component is receiver or the decoder. He or she interprets and makes sense of the message. So, siyang interprets the message, it could be the audience or the target market. Then fifth is we have the feedback, the receiver's response that shows whether the message was understood. So this is the reaction or response like buying the product, liking the post, or sending an inquiry. And then lastly is we have the noise or the interference. Anything that distorts or disrupts the message. Example is distractions, misunderstanding, or technical issues. So these are the barriers to communication. And then example lang niya sa Scrum's communication model is if a company posts an ad online, so sender, and customers comment how much it is already a feedback, then the communication was successful. But if no one understands the ad, that's because of noise or poor message clarity. And then this is our ad, guys. So that's for the Scrum's model of communication. And then, but there are limitations of Scrum's model. So, Scrum's model suggests that communication is something that happens to people rather than with them. It views the process as one-directional, focusing mainly on the sender's role. However, this approach overlooks the fact that communication is actually a cooperative and interactive process. The receiver is not just a passive listener but an active participant who helps construct meaning from the message. So, ang limitation of Scrum's model is that it focuses too much on the sender's side. But ang pasabot ani nga ang communication kay it's just one way, ragi kan ra sa nagpadala sa mensahe. But in reality, communication is not one-directional. It's a two-way process. The receiver is not just a listener but an active participant. So, dili lang siya ang gadawat sa message, tabang pod siya sa pag-construct og meaning. In other words, both sides are involved in creating understanding. Communication happens with people, not to people. And then next is we have the modern view of communication. Communication is a co-construction of meaning based on past experiences. Both sender and receiver actively shape understanding. Messages can be interpreted differently by each receiver. So, in modern view of communication, we see it as a co-construction of meaning, meaning both the sender and the messenger, sender and the receiver, actively create the message based on their past experiences and backgrounds. For example, if I say home, we have different meanings about that. For one person, it might mean comfort. For another, it could mean family. So, messages can be interpreted differently by each receiver. And then, next is we have relevance to personal selling. So the model applies to personal selling where communication is a two-way dialogue between the seller and the buyer. While the seller guides the process, the buyer provides most of the communication. Salespeople who talk too much often lose the sale, whereas those who listen and engage effectively build stronger connections and better results. So, in personal selling, communication becomes a two-way dialogue between the seller and the buyer. So, while the seller guides the process, the buyer actually provides most of the communication. For example, through questions or reactions. So, if a seller talks too much, they might lose the sale because they're not listening to the buyer's needs. But those who listen and engage actively or effectively can build stronger relationships and get better results. And then next is we have sought versus unsought communications. So sought communication occurs when buyers actively seek information or interaction with the seller. For example, inquiries, product requests. So sought communication, it is the buyer who initiates the interaction. For example, when a customer asks questions about a product or requests information, in short, sila mismo ang nangita sa information. While on the other hand, ang unsought communication happens when the seller initiates contact hoping to attract attention. So, ang sought communication, ang buyer ang nag-initiate, while sa unsought communication, ang seller ang nag-initiate. It happens when the seller starts the conversation, like through advertisements, emails, or billboards, hoping to catch the customer's attention. And then, we have here the pool of shared meaning. So, effective communication is achieved through a shared understanding between the sender and the receiver. In business-to-business or B2B marketing, messages should align with the buyer stage in the decision-making process. For example, ano is British Airways post 9/11 campaign demonstrated that personal interaction is more effective than impersonal promotional materials. The campaign emphasized the significance of human connection in enhancing communication effectiveness. So this concept literally means that effective communication happens when both sender and the receiver share the same understanding of the message. So for example, in business-to-business marketing, sellers need to make sure that their messages fit the buyer's stage in the decision-making process. And that's all for my report. Thank you!
So next topic, I'll be explaining about buyers at the information search stage and how signs and meanings play an important role in marketing and communication. So, nag-reach na sa buyers ang kanang information search stage, kabalo na sila ang sila lang gusto. So, they began looking for kanang info and facts about that thing they want, that certain thing they want. So, when buyers reach the information search stage, they already know what they want. Therefore, kanang magsugod na sila pangita og facts and info about that certain thing that they want before making a decision. At this point, emotional or persuasive advertisements are less effective. Kanang mas gipangita nila ang they prefer more factual info like kanang websites, brochures, or sales presentations. This shows that as consumers become more serious about buying, they rely more on information than on feelings. Now, let's talk about signs and meaning. According to Pierce, sign is anything that stands for something to someone in a specific context. So, in layman's term, kanang signs are used to communicate messages visually or symbolically, not just through words. There are three categories of signs. First, kay icon, index, and symbol. An icon is kanang something it looks like or visually represents the object it stands for. Example is kanang icon sa a picture of a tractor for a farming company. Simple as that, that is an icon. Second is index. An index has a direct or causal connection to the object. Example is kanang a man wearing a hard hat may represent construction work or lumberjacking. Therefore, kanang the image points to what it stands for through association or cause. Thirdly is the symbol. Symbol is a man-made sign created to convey a specific meaning. Example, kanang the recycling arrows symbol means environmental friendliness, while the diamond logo of HSBC represents a global bank. People learn what these symbols mean through experience or culture. To summarize the three, ang icon is kanang it simply is recognizable or visual nga dali ra kanang makakuha ng mga tao unsa na siya. While ang symbol is ang index is nagrepresent na siya unsay kanang ma-interpret siya sa tao dali-dali unsa na siya meaning nga index. While ang symbol is kanang through symbol kay people will learn what it means through culture or experience. Therefore, Pierce's idea reminds us that communication is not only conveyed through words. In fact, only 30% of communication uses words. The rest happens through non-verbal means such as pictures, sounds, smell and touch, numbers, artifacts, time, kinetics, like movement, gestures, and body language. Example, kanang mga salesperson, they rely heavily on gestures, body language, expressions para mas makakommunicate through the customer. This is called a non-verbal communication. To sum it all up, buyers in the information search stage prefers facts over emotions, while ang kanang symbols, datong three symbols helps companies communicate meaning effectively not just through words but through icons and index and symbols ng tulo. Lastly, successful marketing uses both verbal and non-verbal cues to send the right message and connect with people on multiple levels. Next is I'll be talking about how communication in marketing goes beyond just words and how things like numbers, space, artifacts, time, and body language, or what we call kinetics, carry powerful meanings. I'll explain how culture and attitude affect how people interpret messages. Let's start with the main idea. In marketing, companies don't just use words to communicate. They also use silent or nonverbal communication through visuals, gestures, objects, and even numbers to express meaning and connect with people emotionally or culturally. However, the meaning of these signs can change depending on the culture of the audience. First, let's talk about numbers. Brand names often use numbers to show that the product is the latest or most advanced version. A good example is katong Boeing, which means its aircraft models with numbers like 747 or 77. This gives an impression of progress, reliability, and innovation. Next, we have space. The distance between people or objects in an image also sends a message. For example, when people are shown standing close together, it suggests that they have a close relationship. In the same way, some companies places their logos close to each other to show partnership or unity. Look at the law, we have artifacts. Artifacts are objects or items used to communicate meaning when companies give small gifts or free samples. It creates a sense of gratitude or obligation, making customers feel valued, more likely to respond positively. Fourth is time. Time can show very different meanings in different cultures. For instance, is an image of a person in a hurry might show success and energy. Pero in America or Northern Europe. Pero in some African cultures, that same image might suggest arrogance or like panghambog, or that that person doesn't value others' time. This shows that how we interpret time depends on our cultural perspective. Ikalima, we have kinetics. Which from the world itself, kinetics, it refers to movements, gestures, facial expressions, and body language. These non-verbal cues can express feelings more strongly than words. For example, smiling or nodding or maintaining eye contact can all build trust in communication. However, these gestures are not universal. They differ from one culture to another. Diba, as I mentioned earlier, these gestures are not universal. They differ from one culture to another. Example, katong two-finger sign sa UK, it means nothing in other parts of Europe. Pero the okay hand sign, and ikaduha, katong the okay hand sign is positive in the US but offensive siya sa Brazil, showing the soles of your feet is considered disrespectful in Thailand. So, katong mga example, even small things like the meaning of colors, clothing styles, or lucky numbers can vary from culture to culture. These mga differences often lead to misunderstandings and metabuti siya because of ethnocentrism. Now, ethnocentrism is the belief that one's own culture is the right one and others are wrong. According to Shimp and Sharma 1987, ethnocentrism exists in every culture, which is why marketers must be very careful when communicating globally. Meaning, mga business entrepreneurs kay dapat sila kabalo sa unsay culture sa isa ka country o sa lain. Now, let's move to the last part, attitude and attitude change. An attitude is a learned tendency to respond in a consistent way towards something or someone. Siya tulo ka components, which are cognition, and affect. Una, cognition. Cognition is something that what we know or think about kanang abutang. Example is maguna natang their products always meet the standard. Mao na to pagtanaw sa nilang mga products. Kaduha kay affect. It is how we feel emotionally about it. Example man I like them, they're nice to deal with, or like sila. Katulo, connection. Connection is how we intend to act toward it. Example kay sige kagpalit ana kay lagi nindot. When kaning tulo ka components, cognition, affect, and connection are balanced, a person's attitude is stable and not likely to change. To sum up everything, communication is not just about words. It includes symbols, gestures, and other nonverbal cues. Katong first na ito nga i-discuss is mga about facts about sa certain product. Non-verbal cues. But since meanings differ across cultures, marketers must communicate with cultural awareness and respect. And finally, a person's attitude is shaped by what they know, what they feel, and how they intend to act. And let's proceed sa how people change their attitudes and how they feel with conflicting information and the concepts of attitude splitting, attitude change, and cognitive dissonance in marketing. Now, ang key idea sa kanina topic is that attitudes can change, but the process depends on how people handle new information and how they deal with their inner conflict when their beliefs and experiences don't match. In marketing, understanding how and why attitudes change helps companies and influence how customers think and feel about their products. So, una, attitude splitting. Ang attitude splitting is this happens when a person accepts only part of new information, specifically the part that doesn't cause conflict with their existing beliefs. Example, if makadungog og something negative about a brand they love, moingon niya sila nga dili man na tinuod sa lain customer. Tinuod man na sa lain customer, pero sa iyang experience ko kay ang brand is different. So in other words, the person acknowledges the new information but creates an exemption to protect the current belief. is the new attitude or accommodating the new attitude. This means that the person fully accepts the new information and changes their attitude completely. According to Rosenberg 1960, na 3 elements sa attitude, katong cognition, affect, and cognition. And kanitong tulo is closely linked. So when one changes, the other two kay often changes as well. Example, kay kanang ako, I mean a person. Example, kanang ay someone or person kay kanang mutuo siya nga, hala, nindot lagi na nga kanang brand new phone or like reliable lagi ni siya, mo na yung kanang cognitive, yung yun na. Dayon, kanang eventually kay maganaan sila ato. So kanang mo-decide sila nga ilan na lang tong paliton. And then, ikatulo is the two routes to attitude change. According to Petty and Kyupon 1983, attitudes can change through kanang duha ka route. Una is ang central route. This appeals to the rational or logical side of people. It focuses on facts, details, and evidence. This route is common in business marketing where decisions are based on careful analysis. Kaduha is the peripheral route. This appeals to the emotional side or the kanang affective element. Kanang it changes attitudes by creating positive associations. Example, marketers might describe their kanang product as the Rolls-Royce of its category, linking it with luxury and quality. Or sa kaning British Airways ad, example, nga nakita na ko sa internet, they show a very confident, stylish person using the brand to create an emotional connection, even if we know flying with BA won't literally make someone look better or more confident. Because our thoughts, feelings, and actions are connected. Kanang kung ano siya, emotional appeals can effectively change attitudes, even if kanang logic is dili jud kayo siya ingon nga strong. Now, fourth one is kanang cognitive dissonance theory. Cognitive dissonance theory was introduced by Leon Festinger in 1957. It says nga kanito nga theory is kanang when a person holds two conflicting beliefs or mga ideas, kaya it creates discomfort called dissonance. And then to reduce this discomfort, people try to make their thoughts consistent by changing their beliefs, justifying their actions, or adding new explanations. Via this, an experiment was demonstrated in 1959 by Festinger and Carl Smith. Katong nga experiment kay they asked students to lie as part of a study. Ang uban kay gibayaran og $20 while ang uban kay $1. Interestingly, the students nga katong nabayaran og gamay actually started believing the lie because they had no strong reason to lie, meaning they had to convince themselves that katong kuan was true. Meanwhile, katong mga those paid more didn't change their attitude since they could justify their lie with a larger reward. This shows that self-justification plays a big role in changing attitudes. When people feel uncomfortable or guilty about a decision, they adjust their beliefs to feel better about themselves. Ikalima is the cognitive dissonance in marketing. In marketing, cognitive dissonance often appears as post-purchase dissonance or what we call buyer's regret. This happens when a kanang customer buys something pero later on they find information that contradicts what they believed before the purchase. Example is kanang someone is impalit siya new phone thinking that kana nga phone is naay better or great battery life, but then realizes kay madrain di ay siya paspas. So mao to reduce dissonance, the buyer might one kanang pwede niya ignore ang negative feedback and focus on positive features. Kaduha kay kanang she or him kanang pwede siya musik og reassurance from ads or friends who also like that certain brand. Katulo is return or exchange the product or convince themselves that the problem isn't really that bad. That's why good salespeople follow up with customers after a purchase para ma-reassure nila that kanang they made the right choice and prevent dissatisfaction. And that's it. To summarize it all, attitude splitting happens when we accept only part of the new information that fits our beliefs. Accommodating the new attitude means fully accepting new information and changing our views. Attitude change can happen through katong two routes, the central and the peripheral route. And the fourth katong cognitive dissonance theory, which explains how people deal with conflicting beliefs and justify their decisions to feel more comfortable. In marketing, Understanding these concepts helps businesses design messages that can influence and maintain customer loyalty.
Corporate objectives. Mao ni ang pinakauna o pinakadako nga goals sa usa ka negosyo. Sama sa pagdako sa kita, pag-expand sa market o pagpalig-on sa brand. Then kaning corporate objective mao ni ang basihan sa tanan nga activities sa negosyo. Apil na ang marketing ana. Tas sunod kay marketing objectives. Marketing objectives kay mao ni ang gikan sa corporate objectives. Nag-focus ni siya sa specific marketing goals like pagtaas sa market share, pag-launch og bagong produkto, pag-boost sa mga suki na customer. Ang marketing objectives kay nag-translate sa corporate goals into market-specific actions. Tapos ang sunod kay marketing communication objectives. Mao ni ang objectives nga nag-determine og unsa ang ma-achieve sa communication efforts. For example, pagpahibalo sa product or service, pag-usab sa kanang paglantaw sa mga customer or changing perceptions. Dayon pag-generate og leads, dayon pag-support sa sales team. Kauban ani ang target audience nga nag-define og who the message is meant for. Mao ni siya ang ikaapat, target audience. Ang target audience kay sila ang mga tawo o kumpanya nga target sa marketing message. Sa business-to-business marketing, kasagaran mao ni sila ang other companies, purchasing managers or industry professionals. Ang pag-understand sa target audience maka-help sa pag-decision kung saon ug asay padala ang message. Ang ikalima ani kay ang media. Mao ni ang way kung asa ipadala ang message. For example, kay trade publications, mga magazine sa industry, din website sa company, email marketing, online ads, exhibits or trade shows. Mao ni ang the chosen media kay mas aligned with where the target audience is most active. Tas ang ikas-unom kay ang message. Ang message kay mao ni ang sulod or kanang content or communication materials designed to deliver the intended message to the company. O sa business to business, mao pud niya kasagaran professional o technical ang message kay gusto nila ipakita o unsa makatabang ang produkto sa negosyo sa client. Taas ang ika-7 kay results o evaluation. Kaning results kay nagdetermine siya sa success sa campaign. Sa evaluation kay ang manager magtan-aw kung nakaabot ba ang angay nga ipaabot, dahil asa nagkulang, tas unsay dapat usbon, kanang objectives, audience, media, or mga messages. Kaning process sa evaluation kay nag-ensure siya sa continuous improvement and helps make marketing communication an investment, not just an expense. So, maadto ta sa marketing tools. So, marketing tools kay naay advertising, public relations, sales promotion, o personal selling. So, dito ta sa advertising. Advertising is one of the most common and visible tools in marketing. It involves using paid media channels such as television, radio, newspaper, billboards, social media, and websites to reach a wide audience. So, kaning advertising daw kay nag-helps build brand awareness and shape consumer perception. It can persuade customers to try a product, remind them of the brand, and create a lasting image in their mind. For example, kay TV commercials, online ads, and posters showing new product features or special offers are all forms of advertising. Though it can be expensive, it is very effective for reaching large audience quickly. So, mao na advertising. Mao ay nag-help din siya mag-build brand awareness and shape sa mga consumer nga perception. Tapos ang ikaduha kay ang public relations. Public relation kuno kay focuses on maintaining a good image and building positive relationships between a company and its various audiences, such as customers, employees, investors, and the general public. So, public relation kay nag-help po siya sa businesses to build trust and credibility. When the public sees a company involved in charity work, environmental project, or featured positively in the news, it improves how people perceive the brand. Effective public relation can also help manage crises such as when a company faces negative publicity by communicating honestly and restoring confidence. So mao daw ng public relation, nag-help siya sa business nga makabuild og trust and credibility. So ang ikatulo kay ang sales promotion. Ang ingon dire kay sales promotion includes short-term incentives or strategies that encourage customers to buy immediately. This may include discounts, coupons, contests, free samples, loyalty programs, and buy one get one offers. So, kaning nga tool is useful for boosting short-term sales or introducing new product to the market. Kay nag-capture ni siya sa customer attention and create excitement by giving them extra value for their money. So, since promotions are temporary, ang company must use them strategically to avoid mga depending on discounts to offend dayon which could reduce long-term brand value. So, ang sales promotion daw kani include siya og short-term nga mga incentives para sa mga discounts, coupons, and free samples. Tapos ang ikapat kay personal selling. Personal selling kay nag-involve siya og direct communication between a sales representative and a potential buyer. Nag-allow po ni siya sa sellers to present their product personally, answer customer questions, and adapt their message based on the buyer's needs or interest. So, kani nga tool kay effective for high value or complex products such as cars, insurance, or business services where customers need detailed information before deciding. Personal selling kay nag-build siya relationships and customer loyalty as it focuses on personal interaction and trust or kanang face-to-face jud daw. Then it may be more costly and time-consuming than sa lain nga tools. But it often results in stronger customer connections and repeat business. So, kaning personal selling pod kay from the word itself nga personal kay mag face-to-face yun mo ani. So, diri na ta sa marketing communications mix. So, kanang diagram kay nag-show siya sa key factors that influence how business-to-business company design its marketing communication mix. This mix kay nag-refer to the combination of tools and strategies para sa mga advertising, sales promotion, public relations, o direct marketing that a company use to communicate and promote its offerings to other businesses. At the center is the marketing communication mix surrounded by factors that affect how it is developed. Ang main factors affecting the marketing communication mix kay una, budget. Kaning budget kay mao ni siyang amount of money available for marketing communication activities. A larger budget allows more advertising, media exposure, and promotional events. A smaller one kay nag-require of more cost-effective strategies. Tas ang sunod kay media or services availability and cost. Kanisad kay nag-refer to the accessibility and affordability of various communication channels such as online platforms, trade magazines, TV, or direct mail. Companies must select media that effectively reach their audience without exceeding the budget. Tapos ang sunod kay channel preferences. The preferred communication channels of the target audience. Mana siya, manay channel preferences. Some business may prefer digital communication para sa email, then katong LinkedIn. Okay. While others respond better to trade shows or personal selling. Sunod kay competition. The presence and strategy of rival companies. So, businesses kay must analyze competitors' marketing communication approaches to differentiate their message and stand out in the market. Basta ang competition kay presence and strategies of mga rival companies. Sunod dito ta sa government regulation, nature of the product, target audience. So, government regulations. Mao ang laws and policies that govern advertising and promotional activities in different countries or regions. Compliance is essential to avoid legal issues and maintain a positive corporate image. Tapos ang sunod kay nature of the product. Mao ang type and complexity of the product being marketed. So, technical or high-value products kay often need more personal selling and detailed communication, while simple products may rely on mass advertising. Tapos target audience kay naingon naman din ako Mao ni ang mga who the company is trying to reach or mga people pareha ng business buyers, wholesalers, distributors, or retailers. So, kani kay understanding sa ilang mga needs, preferences, of decision-making behavior kay is key to designing effective messages and choosing suitable communication channels. So, naadiri ang advertising. So, discuss namin akong advertising ganiha. So, kaning advertising kay has the following roles in business-to-business marketing. Una kay reaching inaccessible buying influences. Kaduha kay reaching unknown buying influences. Tas katulo kay generating leads for salespeople. Kaupat kay supplementing field sales communications. Kalima kay informing channel intermediaries. Tas ang kaunom kay stimulating derived demand. Ito, projecting a favorable corporate image. O ang last kay providing the most economical promotional mix. Mao na ang mga rules sa advertising sa business-to-business marketing. So, atong next kay media in business advertising. So, media in business advertising kay nag-refers to the use of trade journals, magazine, or specialized publications to promote products and services to specific industry or professional groups. So, kaning types of advertising is common in business-to-business marketing where companies advertise to other businesses rather than the general public. So, kaning media and business advertising kay na trade journals. So, trade journals kay mao ni mga magazines or professional publications that provide information, updates, and trends relevant to a particular field or industry. Nag-contain sila og news articles about the industry, product reviews or innovations, expert advice or technical content, dayon targeted advertisements for professionals. For example, kay a trade journal for architects may contain ads for building materials, software, or construction tools. Tas ang trade journals kay naay duha ka type. Ang una kay vertical trade journals. Mao siya ang nag-focus on a single industry or profession. Read by specialists within the same line of work. Example kay Architectural Digest for architects, Engineering News Record for engineers. Tas ang purpose aning vertical kay nag-gives og detailed, in-depth information relevant only to that specific nga profession. Tas kaning ang ikaduha nga type kay ang horizontal trade journals. Mao ni siya ang nag-cover sa topics na useful to professionals across many industries. Example kay Advertising Age for marketeers from various fields. So ang purpose pod aning horizontal kay nag-share siya of broader insights that apply to multiple business areas like marketing management or technology. So kaning media and business advertising kay na siya longevity and accessibility. So ang trade journals are often kept or archived by professionals because they contain valuable information. Many are available online, increasing their reach and lifespan. Because they are preserved for future reference. Advertisements in them also have long-term exposure, unlike TV or radio ads that disappear quickly. Example, an ad placed in an online trade journal may continue to reach readers for months or years. As media and information advertising kay low cost and credible. Advertising in trade journals is less expensive than TV, radio, or general consumer magazines. Since trade journals are trusted sources within their field, ads in them gain credibility. Readers believe the advertisers are reputable and relevant. So, in overall kay media and business advertising kay nag-focus lagi ni siya on building reputation and long-term awareness through credible trade publications na nag-reach og professionals. While direct response advertising kay nag-focus on immediate customer action and measurable results through personalized interactive communication. So, karon kay dito ta sa direct response advertising. Direct response advertising kay nag-involves direct communication between the seller and buyer, designed to get an immediate and measurable reaction. Instead of just spreading awareness, this type of advertising encourage action like calling, clicking, or ordering right away. Ang purpose ani kay to create a direct dialogue between buyer and seller, thus to track and measure responses, making it easy to see how well the company perform. For example, kay an email offering a free demo or limited time discount and a click here to sign up button is a direct response ad. So ang advantage ani kay You can track how many people responded or purchased, thus easily monitored and controlled. Business can quickly adjust the campaign based sa result. Thus, cost-effective kay it targets specific customers and track outcomes. No effort is wasted. So, kaning media ay kaning direct response advertising kay naay key functions. Una, kay track responses. Nag-measure siya og how many people responded to the ad. Example, 500 people clicked the ad or filled out a form. So, maora na ang tracking responses. Nag-measure siya og pila kabok ang mga tawo nga nag-respond ana nga ad. Tapos, ang ikaduha kay recording speed of fulfillment. Kani siya kay nag-track how fast sales or deliveries happen after customers respond. Tapos, nag-help po ni siya evaluate efficiency. Tapos, ikatulo kay tracking responses in different sectors. Kani siya kay nag-compare siya sa reactions across various industries or customer types. Example kay manufacturing versus retail clients. So, kaning tracking responses in different sectors kay nag-compare na ni siya sa mga reaction across various industries or customer types. Katong una kay katong tracking responses kay nagkuan naman to siya og pila kabok tawo ang nag-respond sa ad. Tapos kaning ikatulo nga kaning tracking responses in different sectors kay nag-compare na siya sa reaction. So ikaapat kay comparing conversion rates to respond rates. Kani siya kay nag-measure how many people who responded actually made a purchase. Example kay out of 500 respondents, 100 bought the product. So 20% ang conversion rate. Tapos ang ikalima kay assessing media effectiveness. Kani siya kay nag-determine siya which media channel para sa mga email, online ads, print, etc. works best for reaching the target audiences. Tapos kaunom kay comparing response levels across media. Nag-compare ni siya how will different platforms perform. For example kay email ads got more responses than print ads. So kani siya kay nag-compare na po siya of how will different platforms kay nag-perform. So, ang example niya diri kay ang email ads o ang print ads. Tapos, ang last kay recording customer data. Kani siya kay nag-collect siya information para sa names, mga preferences o mga purchase habits. Kani po siya kay nag-use to improve future marketing strategies and personalized offers. So, maura to.
I'm going to discuss the direct marketing. So, direct marketing is fundamentally defined as an interactive video. So, it means it facilitates two-way communication and it specifically communicates with individuals. So, bali one-to-one. Ang primary goal niya is to achieve direct and measurable communication and elicit targeted response. So, kung mingon tag direct and measurable communication, ang result niya sa communication can be tracked and quantified. While ang illicit targeted responses kay it aims to get a specific action or reaction from the recipient. The rapid growth of direct marketing is attributed to major challenges or major changes in the business environment. Ang una kay the failing cause of information technology. Mo na siya kanang mas naghimo sa cheaper and easier nga store, din mga process o use customer data. Ang pagkaduha kay mo ng the fragmentation of markets, na siya making mass advertising less effective o mo target sa marketing na necessary. The table shows the impact of technology on direct marketing. Technology provides the critical tools that make direct marketing effective. Here is a detailed breakdown of each factor. Una factor niya is addressability. It is the ability to easily identify and reach individuals. Example niya kay marketers can record thousands of names and addresses. Next kay measurability. The computers enable marketers to record the purchasing behavior of customers and track responses to mailing. Next kay flexibility. Flexibility is the ability to approach each customer with a uniquely tailored approach, often using different media or offers. Analytical software. Software tools allow for the easy creation of statistical analysis of customer transaction, providing deep insight. Increased processing power. The enhanced computing power allows for faster and more complex data processing and analysis of customer information. And lastly, the telephone system. Systems like the advent of 0800 numbers allow responses to mailing to be handled by computer, often finding the system more convenient. Ang next factor kay accountability. It is the ability to track expenditure and return returns, which helps marketers justify their spending. Direct marketing segmentation. Segmentation in direct marketing is a process that starts with a large group of potential customer and then breaks them down to smaller, manageable group based sa ilang mga characteristics. It involves analyzing customer data from a database and grouping them into segments. Loyalty is formally defined as the relationship between the relative attitude toward the entity and patronage behavior. Customer retention and loyalty. Customer retention is based idea that satisfied customer will be loyal. But research suggests this is not always true, kay attitude is not a perfect predictor of behavior.
Next is addressability. The next. So first is addressability. When you see an online ads that show use your name or shows your product you like because of your past searches. Example, hi Nicole, check out these new shoes you might love. So kita mo sila sa imong mga past searches. So igamit ka nila imong name kasi may ginahan ka silang product that you might love. So that is the example of addressability. Next is measurability. You can count how many people viewed your clicked your online ads. Example, a business sees and 500 people clicked their Facebook ads this week. So measurability is makabalok ka pila ma-view, pila nag-view or etc. Next. So number 3. Our next one, we have the flexibility. You can easily change your marketing messages time. For example, a store changed in its online sales from 10% off to 20% off in just a few minutes. That is called flexibility. So next is number 4, accountability. You can track or you can track lagi who is responsible for a result. Example, the marketing manager checks which employees ad campaign get the most sales. So yeah, accountability kay kinsay tanaw nila, kinsay mas daghan og sales sa ilang company. So accountability. So next is 5, that which is the increasing processing power. So example, computer can handle a large amount of data faster. So example, a laptop quickly analyze thousands of customers records in a second. So increasing power, so it means dali na sila maka-analyze, which is maka-record sila just in a few seconds. So number 6 is the analytical software program that helped business people study data and find patterns. For example, Google Analytica shows where most website visitors come from. So may lang nila na mga visitors asa jud sila gikan na, so that is analytical software. It's like a program that help business study data and find patterns. So number 7, we have number 7, which is the telephone system. Communication tools used to connect with the customer. For example, a call center use phones to answer customers' questions to take orders. So for example, dali sila mag-call using phones to answer customer questions to take order. So our next is database, a place where information is stored and organized and easily searched by using a computer. So short example about database. So a store keeps a database of all its customers' names, phones, numbers, and purchase history. So it can send them discounts or promos later. So database is like nakalist na tanan, organized na mga names, phones, number. So pwede na sila makahatag o mga promos. So that's what I didn't understand. So next is we have the basics variables. We have the hierarchical database, network database, and rational database. So hierarchical database. So hierarchical database is a data stored under the single citation. For example, an account number. This makes it easy to call up a details of specific individual but hard to generate skills. For example, customer who are individual late payers. So another example. In a company database, there is a CEO, parent who manages several managers and children, and each manager supervises many employees and sub-children. So the structure looks like tree. So we have the CEO, manager, employees. In short, a hierarchical database organize data from top to bottom, just like family tree or company chart. Next is we have the network database. So, network database is use tags, organize, and identify records of analysis such as a good, postcode, transaction date, or customer type. They are more advanced and useful than hierarchical database, but also more expensive and complex to operate since users must understand the data structure. So, short example. So, a short example of database. So, connects data like a web, where relationships can go in many directions, not just top to bottom. So, a short example of database. So connects data like a web, where relationships can go in many directions, not just top to bottom. So next is we have the relational database. So the most widely used system, they store data in two dimensions, one for individual customer information and another for shared attributes across the customer. So short example about relational database. So it is a keeps data in those tables like in spreadsheets, and those tables are connected with something they have in common like an ID number. For example, in a store there are two tables. We have the customers tables, shows customers ID name and phone number. So order tables, it shows order ID, date, customer ID. So that's a short example of relational database. Next DP. So involves 6 key stages under 1995. First, we have the identify key elements, check titles, initial, username, position, and others like so. Second is form access keys. So match records with similar names, address combinations. And the third is develop a scoring system. Higher scores indicates greater similarity between records. So number four is set duplication limits. Establish a cutoff to identify like a duplicates. Number five is prioritize duplicates. Decides which record should remain or remove it. Number six is change records. Delete, merge, or updates data to ensure case accuracy. Next we have the four common errors in database. First we have the incorrect name. So example, even a small mistake in your name can cause a mail to reach the wrong person or divisions, leading it with being discarded. So next is we have titles. So titles. Wait a minute. So next is we have the title. So when database records that someone leaves incorrectly or leaves it out, it can cause offense or confusion. For example, imbis nag-address ka, di ba kay tawag na to, Dr. Wong. So, for example, addressing a doctor as a Mr. So, kana pa lang, title pa lang, wrong na na. So, imbis magtawag ta og Mr. Doctor or kuan, natawag na to siya Mr. So, including initial when culture expects me like so example, sending a letter to Mr. Maria Santos instead of Miss Maria Santos. So this shows a poor attention to detail. So yeah, mo to example bis imo siyang i-Miss Maria Santos na Mr. nimo siya. So mo to ang poor attention to detail. So next is we have the gunways. So what are gunways? So gunways means a message or a mail doesn't reach to the right person anymore because the information in the data is outdated. So it shows poor data. Maintenance meaning organization hasn't updated its records properly. So it's challenging to keep records accurate since people often change job, move to new places, or have a life change that affects their contact information. So example, ang company sends a newsletter to a customer who moved to another city last year. So the mail is returned with a note saying recipients no longer at this address. That's a gun away case. So, yeah, and next is we have the duplicate. Duplicate. Wait. So next now we have the duplicate entry. So for example, okay, na duplicate na so. Sa first row makita nimo siya na sa product ID, product name, supply and quantity. So sa first row pa lang makita ng pareha sila sa second row. So mo ni tawag sa duplicate entries. So yeah, moro to tanan. Thank you.
International marketing communication strategies means when companies sell products in different countries, they must decide how much to change their product and how to communicate about it. First is same product, same advertisement, same communication, meaning that the company sells the same product with the same advertisement everywhere. Second is same product, different communications. That means that the product stays the same but the company changes its marketing message to fit the culture or local needs. Third is different products, same communications. That means that the company keeps the same overall message but change the product a bit to meet local needs or rules. Number 4 is different product, different communication, meaning that both the product and its marketing message are changed to fit each country or culture. Translating advertising copy. When companies translate ads of other countries, they must be careful so the message stays clear and correct. Here are the main rules. Number 1 is avoid idioms, jargons, or buzzwords. So these are hard to translate and so sound confusing in other language. Second is check local laws and rules. Even country has different advertising regulations, you must follow them. Third is use translators who speak the local language naturally. Even small difference in the same language, like Spanish and Spain versus Mexico, can cause misunderstanding. Number 4, explain the product clearly to translators. They need to understand the company and product to translate the message correctly. Number 5 is test to translate translation with locals. So, you ask locals, customers, or distributors if the message sounds right before using it. And last, number 6 is re-translate back into the original language. This is final check to make sure nothing important was lost or changed in translation. Good translation keeps your marketing message accurate, respectful of local culture, and easy to understand in every country. It helps avoid mistakes that could harm your brand. Business-to-business marketing communication. Employees and communication. Sometimes workers may talk about their job in ways that don't reflect the company's official message. Global communication. Companies must adjust their message to fit different cultures. No single message works for all. People interpret message differently, so communication must fit the audience. Using websites in marketing. Websites are one of the most useful tools for marketing communication. They act as the first contact between a company and its customers and helps connect all other marketing channels. Checklist for a good website. First, clear purpose. So, the goal of the website should be clear from the start. Second is informative content. Focus on giving useful information, not just trying to sell. Third is simple design. Keep graphics light so page load quickly, even with slow internet. 4. Don't rely on visuals. The message should still be effective even without fancy graphics. Number 5. Connect with other marketing tools. The website should link with ads, brochures, and social media. Number 6. Collect visitor information. Use forms or cookies to learn about visitors' interests. 7. Interactive features. Use offers, games, or promotions to keep visitors engaged. Number 8. Fast hyperlinks. Links should open quickly so user can find information easily. Lastly, number 9 is easy navigation. The website must be simple to use. Visitors leave it if it's confusing. So, in summary, a good business website should be clear, simple, fast, and interactive, giving useful information and connecting with other marketing efforts to attract and keep customers.